Welcome to the Transform Your Mind to Transform Your Life radio show and podcast. I'm your host, Coach Myrna Young, and today I am so excited to embark on a new format for the Transform Your Mind radio show and podcast. I have with me in the co-host chair, Miss Arifah Yusuf Mortley. I have known Arifah for more than 12 years. She is the wife of my son and the mother of my grandson. And over the years, I have been super impressed by her brilliance as a registered social worker, focusing on mental health issues, and she is an entrepreneur. Arifah is the founder and program director of Lifted by Purpose, a company that provides a diverse range of services, including workshops and programs designed to help the youth in Toronto, Canada, deal with mental health issues or make positive changes in their lives after issues with the criminal justice system. Arifah has been a registered social worker and mental health counselor for over 15 years, and she just started working with the prison system to help inmates live fulfilling lives when released from prison. I wanted to collaborate with Arifah to combine my skills as a life coach and her skills as a social worker and mental health counselor to give you, the listeners, some real-life tips and strategies to navigate this life. Because this is the only life that you have, and you should live it to the fullest. So, as we go forward, we're going to be talking about real-life issues and struggles of the minority woman, from depression and suicidal thoughts, feeling of not being good enough, the life of a single woman, how to supercharge your marriage if you're married, how to leave abusive relationships if you're in one, how to develop an abundance mindset and not live in lack, how to engage the laws of attraction so that you can live your life by design. These are just some of the topics that we plan to discuss each and every week. And I will open up a comment section on my blog, which can be found at blog.myhelps.us for your input on suggested topics. You can also email me at info@myhelps.us to suggest topics. So, you know what you need to do, right? You need to download and subscribe to the Transform Your Mind podcast so as not to miss any of these episodes. They will be life-changing and life-affirming. Also, make sure you share these episodes with your friends so that they too can receive tips to live their best lives now. So, without much further ado, let's bring on the one and only Arifah Yusuf Mortley. Welcome, Arifah.
Hi, Myrna. Thank you for having me on your show.
Yes, so the pleasure is all mine. All right, so since this is our first episode in this new format, just briefly, can you share with our listeners the reason you chose the career as a social worker?
I chose the career as a social worker mainly because I grew up in a community where there was very underserviced. A lot of young people that I had grown up with, my peers, had gone through a lot of challenges, including myself, and there wasn't really a lot of supports available that we were aware of or that our parents were aware of that could help us kind of channel our energy in a positive direction or just have somebody to kind of speak to. And so as I went through high school, I wanted to really make an impact, and people said I was a very social young person. I talk quite a bit, as you know, and I decided that maybe I should pursue social work, and I wanted to work mostly with young people, groups, and also within the community. And so I graduated from Ryerson University and pursued my passion, which was to engage young people and to try to offer them the support that they needed to kind of maneuver through a lot of the challenges in their lives and help them gain success through things that they wanted to do in their future.
Yeah, that's always good, because a good foundation is what helps propel success. I mean, there's a lot of people starting over like I did at 50, but it's sometimes good to start well and have the counseling and the support to choose wisely so you don't have to start over. You start right. So, yeah, I commend you for the things that you do in the community. I know you're doing some great work. So that's awesome. All right. So we are going to start off our segment on this new format, talking on a mental health topic. And the topic is how to heal your brokenness. So as we start off, I want to leave you with a quote from Psalms 34:18 that says, "The Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in the spirit." Because when you're broken, it's usually your spirit that's broken. It is not your physical body. It's your spirit that is crushed. And, that's basically what the Lord does. He heals. But, we can also get healing from, social workers or coaches or pastors or friends. Any support group can also help the brokenhearted. And, my pastor taught a sermon on brokenness a few months back, and he made the analogy that brokenness is like a broken vase. He said that a broken or cracked vase cannot hold any content. Everything that you pour into it leaks out. That means that if you are broken, you cannot hold love, you cannot hold appreciation, you cannot hold compliments. You're incapable of receiving and holding anything in. So it's very important to find your cracks and to mend them. And as minority women, most of us have experienced some brokenness in our lives. I remember when, I listened to the sermon in church. Before that, I would never have identified myself as anybody that's been broken, because I'm very strong and resilient and all that stuff. But yeah, it made me realize that, I have been broken at some point in my life, I just got to try to heal, right? So here are 3 of the top reasons that we become broken. We are devalued or rejected by others. Top 1, abandonment by our parents, and feelings of not being good enough because we live in lack. So that's my top reasons from the perspective of life coaching. So, Arifah, do you have a different list?
Well, I know in our practice, in social work, even in psychology, a lot of clinical professionals, we always look at the research study around ACEs, which is adverse childhood experiences. And so that study basically shares that an individual in their childhood or experiences they had before the age of 18, whether that be witnessing abuse or being abused themselves, living in poverty, just going through traumatic events in their life, how those may impact as they grow up into their adulthood. It may impact how they maneuver through success or how they view themselves. And so a lot of the things that you spoke about earlier around the 3, I believe there was 3 points that you mentioned. Those are actually mentioned in the adverse childhood experiences as well, and how those experiences are also linked to risky health behaviors, chronic health conditions, low life potential, and early death, based on the issues of people not being able to kind of address some of those challenges from their childhood. And seek the support that they need.
Yeah, so this is I can see where the early death, because when you are, and we're going to get into that in our second segment, we're going to talk about some real life issues, but when you engage in risky behaviors, you do have early death. because there's no self-love, so you put yourself through a lot of things that are detrimental to your life. So, yes, so that's good. And then, of course, everything starts with our childhood. There's some women, because there are men as well, but we're going to, niche down in our conversations to women and specifically women of color or minority women, because that's who we are. I lost my train of thought here. But, when we were broken, yes, I for some reason something got into my mind and I forgot what I was going to say. So help me out, Arifah. Where did you see me going with that?
I think you were, from what I was listening to, it sounds like you're trying to kind of adjust some of the issues around some of the challenges that people face in their life that kind of leads to them feeling that they're broken.
Okay. Yes, that's true.
Is that correct? I got you, Myrna.
Right. Yes. What I was going to say, right, and somehow, it just shifted, is that, a lot of times, our brokenness starts in our childhood, and most of the issues that people have starts in their childhood. But I can tell you that as women, a lot of us are also broken by rejection in our adult lives. Men that have mistreated us and abused us and rejected us and devalued us. And a lot of us get broken that way as well. So to me, I think it's almost like a 50-50 split, where or sometimes it's just compounded. We're broken as children because of some experiences, and that probably leads us to get into unhealthy relationships because that's our pattern, and then we get, a compounded brokenness. So that's that's where I was going with that, because all right. So any comeback on that one before we go on our first break?
I would say also sometimes even the individuals that have grown up and even had, a secure or supportive, upbringing, sometimes because we've witnessed that or we've been a part of that, when we get into, relationships, because I know a lot of women, they're always like fixers. We always feel like we can fix the people in our lives, whether it's friends, whether it's situations at work, whether it's, individuals that we bring in and bring into like a partnership with us. Mm-hmm. And sometimes even in that, I feel like sometimes women may feel, what's the word now I'm looking for? But I think sometimes even in those situations when those hopes or the optimism around them being able to fix doesn't work the way that they've pictured it, or they're not seeing their lives kind of play out the way, maybe their families' lives had played out when they were younger. That in itself kind of makes them feel broken inside as well too, because then they almost feel like they haven't accomplished something, or they feel defeated.
Okay.
So I think I think it goes. It can go both ways.
Okay. Yeah. Right. Yes. You feel that. You feel that you should be getting more out of life, and you're not. Yeah. Expectations are not being met. Yeah. And that breaks you, but it's a different kind of broken then. It breaks your hope, and that's a little different than your spirit. Well, what I mean, right? So right, yes, okay, awesome. Yeah, so there's all kinds of forms of it, and every one of us has been touched in some way. The good news is that once you recognize it, you can start to mend it and repair it. But if you don't recognize it, then you keep on cycling through. So that's what we want to address here. We want to talk about today. So let's take our first break, and then when we come back, we're going to talk about some real life stories and how we can change the dialogue in these stories. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
From minimalist to ultra luxury, Benjamin is your online spot for fashion, home, and travel accessories. Shop their full catalog, including their new Valentine's collection, online at thebenjaminshop.com. Plus, save up to 50% on men's bags and more. If, after all that, you still don't know what to get that special someone, Benjamin also offers e-gift cards as well. Happy New Year from thebenjaminshop.com. Free worldwide shipping on orders over $50.
Hi, my name is Shaniqua, and I am the proud owner of Sunny Hair Care. This is the organic line aiming to promote and maintain healthy hair in the African American community. I personally hand fill and label each bottle to perfection just for you guys. Please check out my website at sunnyhairproducts.myshopify.com, and please follow us on Instagram at Sunny Hair Care. Thank you.
Hello, everyone out there. Just wanted to take a brief moment to share with you a major credit secret that most people are not even aware of that can help you with your credit needs. In this day and age, I think we all know how important good credit is and how credit is tied to everything we do, from buying a house, a car, a job, an apartment, insurance. Virtually everything comes down to your credit history. The problem is, many of us have made mistakes or just run into circumstances beyond our control dealing with credit. The good news is that secondcreditprofile.com can help you legally establish a new personal or business credit profile. This is the biggest secret that credit agencies don't want you to know about. I encourage you to check out secondcreditprofile.com for more information. That is secondcreditprofile.com.
National author S.M. Ford presents Memoirs of the Senator's Wife. Wealthy Xavier meets and marries impoverished Estella in college. Being a member of a prominent political family, and with the aid of a magical secret society, Xavier runs for Congress and easily wins. But Xavier's abuse and indiscretion with celebrities quickly destroy their marriage. Due to the responsibilities of motherhood and duty, Estella remains in her unhappy marriage, but finds love with her kind and gentle protector, Michael. Will Estella abandon her responsibilities to live happily ever after with Michael? Or will she remain in the glamorous and powerful world of a senator's wife? #1 international bestseller. 5 stars hot, sexy, funny, and made me cry. The story is very compelling and well structured. A masterpiece. Goodreads review. Available now on Amazon. Contact on Twitter at twitter.com/SM Ford.
Did you start your New Year's resolutions yet? I bet there's one resolution missing that you should add right now. And that is to find a greater sense of purpose in your life. To do that effectively, you need to understand the 8 key components of living with purpose. The new book, The Meaning of Life, A Guide to Finding Your Life's Purpose by Nathaniel Garrett Novosel, is a complete step-by-step walkthrough of how humans derive meaning from their existence. This book helps you to identify what really matters to you in life, define a clear plan of going after what you want, and grow toward fulfilling your true calling. Best of all, this book does not tell you how to live your life or which goals you should have. Instead, it helps you figure it out for yourself. That's what you really want. someone in your corner helping you make sense of your life, not someone with their own agenda telling you what to do. This book is a life changer, and I recommend that you go out and get it right now. The Meaning of Life, a guide to finding your life's purpose by Nathaniel Garrett Novosel. Available now on Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, Apple Books, so order today.
Welcome back to the Transform Your Mind to Transform Your Life radio show and podcast. I'm your host, Coach Myrna Young, and sitting in the co-host chair today is Miss Arifah Yusuf Mortley. And Arifah is a registered social worker, and today we are talking on the topic of how to heal your brokenness. In our first segment, we touched on what it means to be broken. We defined it. And we also talked about some of the ways that we become broken, either being devalued, rejected, abandoned by our parents, feeling that we're not good enough because we live in lack or in poverty. And Arifah talked about ACEs, which is adverse childhood experiences. And that usually is the starting point for most of our brokenness. And then, as women, men can break us as well. It could be that we didn't have any adverse childhood experiences, but, we met up with some men that were narcissistic and cruel to us and broke us all up into pieces. Or it could be that we had them both, because adverse childhood experiences lend to us getting into unhealthy relationships and not being brave enough to get out of them, right? Because we feel that that's the best we can do. So now, as we get into the second segment, I wanted Arifah to share a story of one particular client that she feels encompasses the broken experience. And then I'm going to share a personal one that I've experienced myself. And then we're going to talk about some ways that we can start the healing process. So, Arifah, what's your story?
Okay. So, in my years of practice, I've obviously had a lot of opportunities to engage young people that have expressed feeling broken based on their lived experiences or their adverse child experiences, as we talked about earlier in the segment, and how those experiences have impacted how they view themselves, relationships, and then their place within society or their environments that they grow up in. I recall speaking with a young person that shared witnessing domestic abuse in her household. She unfortunately found her mother's body one day when she came home, and Child Protective Services obviously were called because it was just her and her mom in the home. And then she was placed into a foster care system. And then after reaching the age of 18, she was placed into a shelter system. And I remember her telling me she really struggled with her identity, her self-esteem, and she had a lot of resentment towards her family because nobody had come to claim her or to, try to go against the system to try to raise her themselves and go through the court process to do that. So she had a lot of resentment. And then in her late teens, I remember she became pregnant. She talked to me about how she wanted to connect with her family because she was starting to feel isolated. She wanted her child to know more about their family history, just in case in the future something came about, like a medical condition or anything. She would want them to know who they can connect to if something like that were to occur, and just to build back a relationship with her family. Unfortunately, many of the encounters that she had trying to connect with her family were very negative, a lot of negative experiences, and she would often compare herself to her mother, and that came from her family members always linking her her mother's past and looking at the way that she was living her life and making a lot of comparisons. And so that made her really reevaluate herself and also decreased her self-esteem even more. And as she began to really start to think about her challenges, she started to really spiral. And we had to do a lot of work together on just confronting her errors of thinking, confronting, some of the challenges that she was facing in her life, and really working on trying to build back her self-esteem, trying to connect with her in a way where she can kind of redefine her reality, redefine, her goals that she wanted, and really work towards those. And it took us time, but we spent a lot of focus more so on just speaking about some of those childhood experiences and how they impact the way she felt, speaking about family and what that looked like, and how she wanted her family to look like in terms of having her child, how she wanted to kind of set that new wave for herself. And as she began to really confront some of that and work on herself and really begin to accomplish small goals at first, they led to bigger goals, and her self-esteem increased. And you could see that she was becoming more engaged in her community, and really taking more positive, healthy, risk in terms of that would lead her towards the goals that she wanted to have for her future and her child's future. And that was really positive to see for both of us, but more so for her because she really didn't feel that that was possible.
Good. It's awesome. So what you're saying is that after she started to want to connect to or looked at her family for the healing process, and it didn't happen, she realized that it is all starts and ends with her, what she wants her life to be, what goals she wants, the family dynamics that she wants to give to her child, and stop looking at blaming others or comparing yourself, but just look at herself. Is that the way you guys worked out
definitely.
her?
Definitely.
Right. Okay.
Once she was able to really, because the thing is, we always, as humans, I think we always look to wanting to help people or wanting to engage community, to be a part of our life, to kind of define. I think society has set us up to really define who we are based on the things that we see, right? And so with her, it was really all the things that she was looking to support herself, and she realized it wasn't in the best interest of her, and it was actually making her feel a little bit more broken inside.
Right.
Then it was really about empowering her to say, hey, this is the opportunity for you to understand these things and how they impact you. But also this is the opportunity for you to define what you want your life to look like, because at the end of the day, it's really you. It's really falls back to what you want for yourself, regardless of who's around you. It falls back to you and how you want the life to look like for yourself and your child. And then she just started to develop a plan, and network, a positive, healthy network that was established based on the goals that she had. And I think that really helped her to accomplish the goals, like I said, and just to even she stopped defining herself as broken after a while, because then she realized that she really could make a difference in her life and really could make these positive changes. And like you were talking about earlier with the analogy or the metaphor around the vase, right? And, a vase can't hold water if it has cracks in it.
Right.
Which is a really beautiful analogy. And so herself, when she started to realize what her triggers were, what her challenges were, who around her wasn't supportive, then she could begin to start to put in place of that, okay, well, what do I need to do for myself? Who is supportive that I can connect to? What are the goals that maybe I didn't think I could accomplish, but what if I tried? What would that look like? And then once she started to do that, she really made a huge change in her direction of where she was going, and she got a job. She found a place to live, and I'm really proud to say, like, she's doing very well in life right now. But it's because she was able to mend some of those, begin to heal some of those wounds.
Yeah. Well, that's an awesome story, and it feeds right into what, we do as life coaches, because a lot of, when you're broken, it's usually someone breaks you, right? You don't wake up one morning and be broken. It has to do with people that have done something to you that you feel, except for the ones where you're in poverty and you feel not good enough, then it's usually your interpretation and your inner dialogue. But usually it's because somebody rejected you or devalued you, or you felt abandoned, you don't have love and things like that. But those things happen, and every one of us have some form of a story. Even the rich kids that had all kinds of money and their parents can send them to the best schools or whatever, a lot of them felt abandoned because, the parents were busy working and they didn't have any time for them. And everyone has had some form of rejection or some form of something not working out for them in some way. And the only way to heal is for you to change that dialogue and realize that, if you want something in life and you want to aspire to be a certain way, you can't blame something that your parents did to you. Or you can't blame something of what a man did to you. Or you can't blame something that your boss did to you. You always have to take the responsibility and say that, what, it is all up to me. And that was a beautiful story with that, with your client, when she realizes that it's all up to her, right? And if she wanted to give her child a different life than she had, it's all up to her. It's nice when you become self-sufficient and you have a partner that would help you to grow. But if you're always looking for that partner to be, I heard them talking about the other day, one of my favorite movies, or the favorite lines in movies is, Tom Cruise, when he told Renee Zellweger, "You complete me." And I think that a lot of women were going around, or men were going around looking for somebody to complete them. And in the life coaching world, that's one of the worst things, because you complete yourself. If you are not complete, then no one else can complete you. But when you're complete and you bond with someone else, then you guys are much more powerful. But if you're looking for someone to make you happy and someone to complete you, then it's not going to work out. So yes, it's definitely up to you to make the changes and do the work, because it is hard work. It doesn't come easy. It is absolutely hard work. It's recognizing your patterns, recognizing your triggers, as you say. That's one of the things that, in the mental health world or the, social worker world is your triggers, and you learn coping skills and all these type of things. But, in the life coaching world, is you look at your patterns, you look at your history, you look at how you respond when something happens, and then you try making some changes. So that's awesome. Now, I mentioned that I had a personal story as well, and my personal story, tagging on to the foster care world and the abandonment and the adverse childhood experiences. I have several, but this is the one that I'm going to talk about today. My husband and I adopted twin girls at the age of 9 years old from the foster care system. Now, they were put in the foster care system, and there were 4, and, bounced around to a lot of homes before we actually adopted them. We knew them since they were about 5, but, so we fell in love with them when they were 5, so we knew them early, but they didn't get adopted until they were 9. which is a long time for them to develop a lot of adverse childhood experiences. So I love them. My husband loved them. My daughter loved them. You know, they were twins. They were beautiful. And we poured a lot of love into them. But because they were broken from the abandonment of their biological parents and their experiences in the foster care system, like that vase we talked about, they couldn't hold the love we poured into them. Everything leaked out, right? As they got older, they also couldn't hold the love of friends. They wanted friends. They wanted to be popular in school. But every week they had a new boyfriend. Every week they had a new friend. They're always falling out, so they couldn't hold that love either. So they had years of therapy. They had years of coping skills. They had years of stuff. But unfortunately, you know, they're still broken. And, you know, some of the therapists have suggested to us that they will not become whole until they're adults, maybe even in their 30s. So I don't know if you've had any experiences with young adults healing their brokenness, or is it through that they have to wait until they're old enough to actually do the work that will make them whole?
I think everybody's different. So It's like I've worked with a lot of young people, and I've worked with them from when they were 12, and then, you know, they've had similar, you know, experiences where, they begin to do some of the work, but then they're not fully, because they're going through that child development stage, and they want to be independent. You know, they have lots of things that they want to do with their friends, and sometimes their focus is different, right? Sometimes it's still not focused on themselves. It's still focused on other areas of their life.
Right, popularity,
but then,
maybe.
Yeah,
right.
just lots of stuff. You remember what it was like being that age? Come on.
Right.
I wasn't focused on, think about it. If you can look back on your own lived experiences, I mean, how many people that are 14, 16-year-old are focused on, I'm going to go see a therapist or a life coach?
Right.
Really,
yeah.
they don't, half of us didn't even want to go to the guidance office, right? So let's be honest. So it's one of those things where I know for me, when I've worked with young people, when they come and they see me, I sit down. I know that they've been sent to me for a reason. But I really try to build the relationship with them, because one of the things I've noticed is a lot of young people, they don't trust people. And that comes from, obviously, a lot of their experiences and very valid experiences at that. But they don't trust people. They don't know what to open up about. So they're not even comfortable sometimes within their own skin to even share some of those experiences, especially out loud to somebody. And so with me, I really say to them, hey, you know what? We're here today. Obviously, you know, your mom or your CIS worker, whoever it is, has sent you. But why do you think you're here? And they'll usually, you know, start off by saying, oh, I don't, you know, because they think I'm bad, or, you know, they don't like some of the things that I'm doing. And then I'll say, hey, well, you know what, we're here to kind of work on, you know, what it is that you feel is like really important in this moment for you. So even though I have a list of things, people are like, I want you to focus on all this stuff, I really start with where they're at. And sometimes where they're at is just they want someone just to talk about things that are happening on the day-to-day at school. But it's, for me, more so building the relationship. And once the relationship is built, then they'll begin to open up about some of the other things, and I can connect some of the stuff that's going on now to some of the other underlying issues. But we're doing the work together. And I find when you're able to do the work together, then young people, and you integrate it back into the day-to-day stuff that's happening, then they're like, oh, this is actually a part or impacting my life, like right now. You know, so it's like, oh, you didn't want to go to the dance. How come? You know, oh, because I don't want to hold no boy's hand, as an example. I don't want somebody touching me. But then we can have a conversation about that, and then we can figure out where does that come from, right? And then let's talk about boundaries and negotiation and create comfort agreements and all of those types of things. So it's like giving them the tools as they're beginning to understand themselves, how they think, you know, how they feel, how they behave. Those are the three things I always focus on with every young person is getting them to understand everything that they do. What were you thinking? What were you feeling? How did that interact with what you did? Like, because there's positive consequences and there's negative consequences to everything in life. But you still got to understand for yourself when it happens, like, was that a negative consequence to something? Was that positive for me? Because it's how they view it, right? I could say, I don't think that was very healthy. Who cares what I have to say? If they think it's okay, I can't change that, right? But if you can say that situation impacted this, and now, hey, you can't go back to school because of whatever that happened, how does that make you feel? And then they say, hey, you know what, like I thought about it, it makes me feel really bad because I really like going to school, and now I can't go to school, and I have to go to another school, meet new people, I don't trust people. So then they realize that, that fight or whatever that situation that happened, they've learned through that experience that it impacted their life in a way that they didn't realize in the moment that it would. And so that's how I like to work, is just work with them where they're at, get them to really focus on their thinking, their feelings, their behaviors, and then slowly as they start to age, I have youth now, they're 24, and I worked with them from when they were 14. And they still call me and they're like, hey, remember when I was 16 and we had that conversation?
They remember?
Like, yeah, they remember. And they'll say, when I was 18, I did this and this because I didn't think about it. But now I'm 24 and I remember that conversation. I remember it. And and now that this happened again, I feel like I made this choice. Whereas when I was 18, I didn't see how that conversation was going, how that was impacting my life, some of the things I was doing. But now I'm 24, and I look back on it, and now I understand it.
So the level of maturity. And,
maturity plays a huge role.
Yes, very good. So
and experiences, right?
Yeah, I guess we're both saying the same thing, is that you can beat them in the head when they're teenagers all you want, but they have to grow up and get mature and understand and make the choices, and it usually doesn't happen until later in life. So
but they're usually, with some individuals, we always say sometimes it just takes that one thing that's really important to them that happens, that life-changing a moment, right? Sometimes that happens when people are 14. Sometimes it happens when people are 16. Sometimes it may happen when they're 30. But there's really no defining moment or point to say, like, it's going to take this person that long
to change. Right. Okay.
Yeah, it could be you coming into their life, right? Like, it could be me. It could be anybody. It could be a person on the bus. I've had youth say I was on the bus, and this lady, she came and she sat beside me, and she looked like my grandmother. And she said something to me, and it sat with me. And they're like 16. And that one conversation really went back to, having them understand, like, who they are and why they're making certain choices. That one conversation with a stranger.
Yeah.
Well, so you just never know.
I actually do believe that. I believe that, when they say that you can learn from everybody, even the bum in the street might have something that he can teach you. Well, all right. Well, you give me hope. and I personally remember that you just talked about when we were growing up and how we were rebellious. And, my grandmother is, one of my heroes, because I remember the things that she told me when I was a teenager. And, at that point in time, it was just going in one ear and coming out the next. But, long after she's gone, you remember those things. And it's the same with your parents. When your parents would tell you to do things that you didn't want to do and you thought that they were stupid or whatever, then when you get your own kids, then you remember those same things and you try to, teach it. So that's why they said, no, and that's basically the way I feel about my kids. I feel that as a coach, I talk to them all the time. I put them in therapy. Everybody talks to them. The police talks to them. The therapist talks to them. Everybody is preaching and talking, and some of it is going to stick, and they'll remember it later on, even though it, because, I do a lot of meditating. And one of my meditations that I do before I go to bed, the lady says that, even if you fall asleep, your subconscious mind is recording everything. Everything is recorded in your subconscious mind. So when we preach and we talk to these kids and we whatever, or even your spouse or your girlfriends or whoever you talk to, right, and they don't really want to listen, it's being recorded. And at some point in time, it's going to regurgitate. So that's the hope that I have. So I continue preaching, and I continue, giving, talking and showing them the right way. And I know at some point in time, those seeds are going to grow. That's my take on it.
Yeah, it's challenging, especially when it's like your family, people that are really dear to you. It can be people always look at professionals and they think our lives are supposed to be this perfect ball.
No.
But everybody has gone through challenges, which makes them great workers, right? Because they've done the work within themselves, and still continue to heal as well, right? Because healing is an ongoing journey. Yeah. But at the same time, it's like the fact that they are connected to the work that they're doing, and they're patient, and they really want to support and help people kind of empower themselves to make that impact on their lives. And I think that's what makes what makes individuals connect, right? Like I remember, I don't know if you know Brene Brown, but I really look up to her, and she does TED Talks and she writes books, but she talks about empathy, and I feel like even in the world, a lot of people come from a state of sympathy thinking it's the same thing, but it's not. But I remember her saying empathy breeds connection and sympathy breeds disconnection. And sometimes we're so quick to try to solve people's problems that we forget to kind of just ask them how they're feeling, or like connect to that emotion that we may have felt something similar. So she gives the example of, sometimes we don't even have to say anything. Sometimes people just want to be heard.
Right.
It's like, whatever you're experiencing, wow, that sounds really challenging. It sounds like really difficult. I can only imagine what that felt like, when that happened. That sounds scary. I could see how you're afraid to go outside. Sometimes people just want people to connect to that emotion, and that in itself has them open up to say, yeah, you know what, I'm not alone in this, or somebody's listening to me. And I think that's a really powerful thing that a lot of us forget to do, is just to show empathy towards one another.
Yeah. Empathy is big, and they said that a special person has a compassionate heart. Not everybody has a compassionate heart. It's, it's not everybody has it. And if you have a compassionate heart, then you're able to pick up an empathy right away. And that is, the definition of empathy is being able to put yourself in someone else's shoes. And, so that's great. All right, awesome. We're moving on along. I'm loving our conversation. I'm loving the impact that I think that we're having. So let's take our final break, and then we're going to come back and talk about some steps, that we can, if we find that we're broken, or we know somebody in our lives that are broken, that we can take to start the healing process. So, and then Arifah is going to tell you, if you're in the Toronto area, how you can, get in touch with her if you have a youth that needs some help. So don't go anywhere. We're right back.
Let MCXI Candle Company help you set the mood for any occasion. Check out their amazing collection of sexy fragrances and create romantic and memorable moments with their best-selling fragrances, such as Grip the Sheets, Long Kiss Goodnight, Lover, The Dom, and Nightcap. Visit them at www.mcxicandles.com. Follow MCXI Candles on Facebook and Instagram. So, light up an MCXI candle and set the mood.
Are you a high-achieving woman of color who struggles with imposter syndrome, procrastination, and self-sabotage? Are you tired of going to bed each night hoping that tomorrow will be a better day, only for it to be more of the same? Are you sick of empty affirmations that make you feel good, but don't actually lead to change? And are you over being shamed and yelled at to do the work with no insight as to how to get it done? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then friends, this podcast is for you. Search Productive on Purpose in your favorite podcast app and listen today. Oh, and if you struggle with procrastination, go to planning.productivepurpose.com to download your free Planning for Procrastinators guide. It's time to start walking in our purpose, y'all.
Hi, this is Inez Simpson. Thanks for listening to the show Hypnosis Everywhere. If this is the first time listening, well, we have a whole treasure trove of shows archived here and on Voice America page and on Hypnosis Everywhere website, all free for you to listen to anytime. The first year's broadcast showed the amazing diversity of the talent and the skills of those people who make up our fascinating hypnosis community. This season, Hypnosis Everywhere, the next level, will delve deep into where modern hypnosis is now taking us, the new discoveries and adventures as we explore this infinite mind of ours. And we explore Simpson Protocol hypnosis that is taking us higher and deeper than ever before. We'll talk about the astounding insights that show us how our mind can shape and change our lives for the better. So come join us on Hypnosis Everywhere, amazing people who are on amazing adventures in this world of hypnosis.
Looking for trendy styles that are affordably addictive? Then check out Glenside Fashions. We are currently running specials. Spend $99 or more and get 30% off your entire order. Use code LEVELUP at checkout. Or purchase over $150 and you get 40% off your entire order. Use code LEVELUP2. Check out glensidefashion.com for your high quality products along with fast shipping and free smiles. That's GLENSIDEFASHION.com.
It's here, the critically acclaimed parenting series, Being with Infants, by world-renowned Montessori, Pickler, and Rye teacher trainer and child specialist, Beverly Kovach. This essential series teaches parents and caregivers how to bond respectfully with their infants. See why Being with Infants is used by Montessori daycare centers, new parents, grandparents, and new moms who suffer from postpartum anxiety. Now playing on Roku, Amazon Prime, and free at your local library. Learn more at beingwithinfants.com.
Welcome back to the Transform Your Mind to Transform Your Life radio show and podcast. I'm your host, Coach Myrna Young, and sitting in the co-host spot today is Miss Arifah Yusuf Mortley, and we have been talking on the topic, how to heal your brokenness. And I think that we were able to lend a lot of good information to how we become broken, how we can help, how we can start the healing process. We talked about childhood issues. We talked about, some people can become broken, in midlife by other people. But as we wrap up our conversation today, I want to, as the life coach, I want to talk about some ways that I help my clients with heal their brokenness. And the first step in anything is to acknowledge that you're broken and understand your patterns. Giving you a personal example, if let's say that you're broken by someone cheating on you, and as soon as someone else cheats on you, you have a certain way that you respond. You can respond by, however you respond, and you realize that the way you respond shows that you have been broken and you're still unhealed and you're still carrying around that baggage. So that's one way to understand your patterns. Follow the pain. Pay attention to where it hurts. We feel pain in our bodies. So pay attention to where it hurts. And a lot of people, when they feel pain, try to medicate that pain and try to make that pain go away. But if you breathe into the pain and accept that pain and let it just flow through you, then you're not going to be running from it anymore. Just accept it and acknowledge it and pay attention to where it hurts, right? And sometimes, because we all have blind spots, then we just walk around in life unconscious. 95% of people walk around in life unconscious. They're not aware of anything. They just go on in life. But then, it takes someone outside to point out your blind spots, whether it be a coach, a mentor, a therapist, a friend, your parents, your spouse, somebody that's outside that can see and, and tell you, hey, you know what, I think that the fact that you're responding and you're doing this, then I can see that, you've got a trigger or you've got an anchor that we used to call it, that makes you hurt, makes you do certain things that you're ashamed of later on or something. And, one of the ways or the best way to be healed is, through the power of love, whether it's God love or, somebody that loves you, like your children or a spouse or someone. And that love molds you like a potter molds clay. And that starts to heal some of your cracks and start to make you a whole person. So now we're going to, turn it over to the professional, the therapist. So I know we talked a little bit before about when you were talking about your specific, the client that you're talking about, you mentioned some ways that you helped her heal. But do you have some steps that you want to leave with us today?
Yeah, definitely. So I know we talked about it all starts with beginning to understand yourself. I know a lot of people, they always like to focus on the present. This isn't working for me now. And sometimes it's difficult for them to dive back and try to figure out, some of the challenges and how those kind of lead to their perceptions of how they view the world or view their situation or how they maneuver through life right now. But I always say, if you're going to start from now, then you need to start from, what is it that you want? What is your purpose, right? What is something that you're hoping to complete, or to something that is immediate that you need support with right now? Some people will say, right now I need support with housing. Right now I need support with, maybe I have a substance abuse issue and I've come to terms that I actually need additional help for that. So if you're going to focus on, if that's immediate, something that you want to do, then you have to work backwards from that. So it's okay, this is what I want. So then what do I need to do for myself right now? Who do I need to connect to, in my personal life to support me with that goal? And then outwardly, who in the community, whether that's a professional or support groups, a center, where do I need to connect to kind of help me with that goal? So that's when you're trying to start in the present, right? If you're someone and it's you really want to have an understanding of why you kind of move the way that you do within your life right now, so you want to go backwards, then I'd always say everything that you feel as a challenge, write that down, right? And kind of try to figure out, again, what happens usually when I start to have these negative thoughts in myself? What's occurred? Did somebody say something to me? Did I have a flashback, reminder of something? What triggered that for me? And then when writing that down, you're kind of tracking where some of these thoughts are connected to. And then you're also looking at what are the behaviors that are aligned to the feelings and then the behaviors aligned to that. So it's always good to journal, because when you're able to journal for yourself, one, it's empowering, but two, you're getting a sense of you're being able to pick up on trends. and things that are occurring that lead to other issues in your life. Another thing that I always say, which I did with the young person that I shared the story about, was we did a genogram. And so with that, it's literally creating a map of your whole family. So whether that's your grandparents, your mom, your dad, uncles, brothers, sisters, depends on how far along your lineage you want to go. But then circling and trying to define, like, what role do these people have in your life? What's your connection to them? And that will kind of help you to kind of understand as well who your support networks are, but then who may be the people that have impacted your life, maybe in an unhealthy way, or the people you find yourself steering away from. And then you'll begin to understand, like, the patterns of that as well. And so those are things I feel are really helpful in just trying to begin the groundwork of if you're working on yourself now or if you're trying to go back and figure out where some of your behaviors started and then how they've led to some of, like, the way you kind of move through life right now.
Okay. Oh, that's perfect. That's awesome. Yeah, so I am so impressed. I am patting myself on the back right now that we are on to something great. I think that the two of us are, helping a lot of people with our conversations that we're going to be having, and this was a fantastic start. So as we're almost out of time now, Arifah, just tell the audience how they can get in touch with you if they need some more of your wisdom. I'm assuming you only do on-site coaching, right? You don't do anything over the phone?
Well, I do. We have clients, because as you mentioned earlier, I do some work with young people that are incarcerated, and so often they'll call and I'll do some one-on-one counseling with them over the phone and support. So there are ways where I'm really flexible. Some people, they will connect through the phone. Some people that are in Toronto, obviously, they'll connect to do one-on-one sessions or to come and do group work. But yeah, really flexible.
Okay, good. So yeah, go ahead and tell them how they can get in touch with you.
So you can get in touch with me by emailing me at Arifah, which is ARI, F as in Frank, AH, at liftedbypurpose.com, which is LIFTEDBYPURPOSE.com. Through our website, www.liftedbypurpose.com, and also we're on social media. We're on Facebook and we're on Instagram as well, and it's the same thing, Lifted by Purpose.
Awesome. All right. And you guys are located at 180 Shaw Street, Suite 201 in Toronto.
Correct.
Right? Awesome. All right. So this has been an awesome experience. I am actually loving our new format. As I mentioned before in the beginning of the intro, that we would love to hear from you. You can send me an email at info@myhelps.us with some suggestions on topics that you are going through right now that you want a life coach or a social worker to comment on. I would love for you to post a review on iTunes if you like this new format and you like what we're doing, or leave a comment on my blog, which is blog.myhelps.us. Now, on my blog, there will be a transcript of our conversation today. There's also going to be a link to Arifah's website, and you can also contact me if you wanted any kind of one-on-one sessions as far as coaching at my website, which is MyrnaYoungHelps.com. Myrna is MYRNA YOUNGHELPS.com. As I said, I would love for you to subscribe, and we look forward to talking again next week. We're going to talk on, again, topics regarding relationships. We're going to be starting off on that. And so, yes, we'd love to hear from you. Arifah, do you have any final words before we wrap up?
I just wanted to say, always remember to, if you need support and you feel like you're in distress and you don't have someone to connect to, you can always call. There's crisis and distress hotlines, which is really important, and always look towards, practicing self-care and integrating that in your daily routine.
Beautiful. Yes, very beautiful. All right. Now, again, in order to subscribe to the podcast, it's on all the players: iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, Stitcher, Podbean, CastBox. Anywhere that podcast players, you can download and subscribe. So we would love your support as we continue to bring you fabulous content every week. So thank you for tuning in to the Transform Your Mind to Transform Your Life radio show and podcast. Thank you, Arifah. You have been a fabulous co-host and very, very clear and succinct in your responses and what you do. So proud of you.
Thank you, Myrna.
You're welcome. So until next time, namaste.